Around the Earth are a few places that scientists believe are likely to produce incredibly powerful earthquakes sometime in the future. They don't exactly know when they'll happen, but are pretty certain the devastation would be immense. From the Cascadia subduction zone to the Hayward Fault line, here are 5 earthquakes that could possibly happen by 2030. Around 100 miles off the west coast of Canada exists a place known as the Cascadia subduction zone. This 600-mile-long fault line runs from Northern California all the way up through British Columbia. Interestingly, it's not known for many quakes, only having 41 in the last 10,000 years. However, this is also what is known as a mega-thrust fault and is considered by some experts to be a ticking time bomb. In this area, the Pacific tectonic plate does not move much against the Juan de Fuca plate. However, when it does end up moving and scraping against the de Fuca plate, the energy that is generated is enough to thrust large sections of Earth upward in a very quick, sudden motion. Such thrusts have been the cause of many devastating tsunamis in the past. The last major earthquake in this area took place in 1700. It was estimated to have been a 9.0 magnitude quake that generated a tsunami that went across the Pacific Ocean, damaging parts of the Japanese coast. The story here would be exactly the same. California and many of its large cities would feel some effect. However, the most at-risk states would be Alaska and Hawaii. Waves that could reach over 80 feet high would strike with incredible force, taking the lives of thousands and leaving many thousands more homeless. Earthquakes of this size typically strike every few hundred years. So, it is possible that an earthquake is overdue in this region. Japan is a country that is definitely no stranger to earthquakes. Due to its location along many fault lines, it is known as one of the most seismically active places in the world. The 1923 Great Kanto earthquake struck near 2 densely populated cities, Tokyo and Yokohama, taking the lives of around 130,000 people. In 1995, another earthquake struck in the Kobe region. But the worst earthquake in the country's history happened in 2011 when a 9.1 quake struck just off the coast, sending a huge tsunami towards the shore, taking lives and racking up over $360 billion in damages. What has some scientists concerned is the fact that these earthquakes are putting stress on other parts of the tectonic plates. When you have so many plates that converge on one area, the slightest movement in one plate could cause enormous stress in another. With so many large earthquakes happening, it is possible that there may be added stresses in other parts of the fault lines. Which fault lines they are is a mystery. The best guess scientists can make are in the Tokai and Suruga Bay regions, which are located along Japan's Pacific coast. Scientists believe that a magnitude 8 or higher earthquake is overdue here because the Philippine plate is inching its way underneath the Eurasian plate, forming a subduction zone, which are some of the most dangerous and violent areas for earthquakes to happen. The last rupture in this area was in 1854, and before that, 1707. That means it is possible, but not guaranteed, that another earthquake is due. Now, whenever earthquakes are discussed in California, there's always talk of the big one, because scientists have predicted that areas in California close to the San Andreas Fault could be due for a quake of epic proportions. The fault line is about 800 miles long and close to 10 miles deep. It is where 2 major tectonic plates meet and are constantly grinding against each other. While some parts of the fault creep at around 2 inches per year, others have been locked in place for a very long time. However, scientists have speculated that these areas could give way at any point, and the sudden release of energy would be powerful enough to dwarf every earthquake that has come before it. The damage could be like nothing we have ever seen before, as the fault is near many heavily populated areas. Many old buildings would crumble, dams could break, and power could be out for weeks or longer. It is a bit of an extreme scenario, but it's not out of the question, with some thinking an earthquake of this size is overdue. Luckily, nothing has happened as of yet, and hopefully doesn't in our lifetime. Of all the seismically active places on Earth, Indonesia is among the worst. The area is incredibly active because there is a convergence of not 2, but 3 tectonic plates here: the Eurasian, Australian, and Pacific plates. Around 130 miles off the western coast of the country lies the incredibly active Sumatran fault line. Right along this line is where most of the country's volcanoes can be found, and is also where most of the seismic activity happens. In 2004, an incredibly powerful undersea earthquake occurred where the Indo-Australian tectonic plate was slipping beneath the Eurasian plate. This also caused a massive tsunami to form. Once the tsunami reached the coast, it caused a massive amount of damage and took the lives of over 50,000 people. The earthquake that caused it is said to have produced the energy of 23,000 Hiroshima-sized atomic bombs. Scientists and geologists have become even more concerned since that incident because they fear the earthquake may have increased the pressure on other parts of the Sumatran fault, thereby increasing the likelihood of even stronger earthquakes and putting hundreds of thousands more at risk. Scientists have predicted that another large earthquake could hit around the city of Padang with an expected intensity of 8.5 or higher. It would not only shake Indonesia, but it could send another deadly wall of water towards other countries. The best thing you can do if you live near these regions is prepare and stay vigilant. If a warning ever does go out, be sure to get to higher ground. Now, if we head back to California, there is another fault that has some scientists worried: the Hayward Fault. It is a crack in the Earth's crust that is about 62 miles long and located in the San Francisco Bay Area. While we seem to always hear about the San Andreas Fault, the Hayward Fault is referred to by the U.S. Geological Survey as a tectonic time bomb. According to them, it is the most dangerous urban fault zone in the country, with the potential to bring about earthquakes that could shake an entire city to pieces. On average, the Hayward Fault experiences a magnitude of 6.8 or greater about every 140 to 170 years. The last major earthquake along this fault line was back in 1868, meaning that the Bay Area is due for another large earthquake in the near future. However, there would be a huge difference between the 1868 quake and the one which is predicted to happen in the next few years. Today, there are millions more people that live in the area, making the risk to human life greater. Also, there are many more cities and towns that have been built, which would bring the financial cost of such a disaster to untold levels. But don't fear just yet. There's no telling when this earthquake will occur, and chances are it won't be in our lifetime. It has been estimated that if an earthquake with the same intensity as that of 1868 were to strike today, the total economic losses would likely be costlier than any earthquake in American history. With San Francisco, San Jose, and Oakland all in the vicinity, the damages could easily be in excess of $165 billion. Well, that's all we have for you today. But if you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.